With a mandate that covers a gamut of maritime law enforcement operations, including drug trafficking, illegal fishing, contraband, human and weapons smuggling, as well as search and rescue, the Belize National Coast Guard has had a busy 2015 calendar. This morning, the senior command presented last year's report card to Minister of National Security John Saldivar.
The year 2015 marked some significant achievements in the development of the Belize Coast Guard. The Coast Guard celebrated its 10th anniversary, which symbolized 10 years of existence and contribution to the safety, security, and protection of Belize. The Coast Guard also reached the end of its medium-term strategy for development and operations. We are now in the long-term strategy, which will take us to 2020. The Coast Guard grew from a strength of 50 in 2005, where we started, to 320 in 2015. But more significant, over the last 2 years, since 2012, the Coast Guard grew from a strength of 120 to 320.
Aside from an official sanction to increase its strength in numbers over the next 4 years, the Belize National Coast Guard was instrumental in designating a location for a new forward operating base on the bank of the Sarstoon River.
Critical was the approval of our new recruiting policy from the National Security Council to grow the Coast Guard by 100 each year to reach the desired end strength of 700 by the year 2020. We saw the operational reach and tempo increase to extend our operations from coastal to territorial sea operations. We increased our patrols to include a permanent presence at Northern Ambergris, key to maintain control of an area threatened by illicit activity, crime, and violence. We continue to maintain a patrol operating out of temporary facilities in Consejo. We also were engaged and involved in the reconnaissance and the siting of a suitable location for the construction of a forward operating base in the Sarstoon area, where we shall be partnering with the BDF to provide safety, security, and protection for our citizens and our resources in that area.
Perhaps as important as the power of arrest is an ability to autonomously discipline one's own. That piece of legislation has since been approved to allow the Coast Guard to punish errant seamen.
The Coast Guard Act was approved in December of 2015, and the main efforts was to fully establish the Belize Coast Guard as a military organization and giving us the power to arrest at sea for any law enforcement violations. Discipline. The Belize Coast Guard regulations is still under amendments, so therefore our discipline system is under the public service regulations. Having our regulations fully back into effect will greatly affect the discipline system of the Coast Guard, and it will impact it for the good. The PSR can discipline, but the process is lengthy, and it takes away the concept in the military as on-the-spot discipline to discipline sailors as they commit any infractions.
While its limited personnel aren't omnipresent, the Coast Guard maintains a permanent presence in problem areas such as Consejo. That location, as the Belize Defense Force has identified, is a hotbed for illicit activity.
The Coast Guard had 9 custom offenses that we dealt with through the course. These offenses and violations, we provide support to our sister agencies in reports or presence for the court cases, which eventually leads to conviction of these personnel and they are charged. Some face jail time, some are levied with financial charges. This is our current disposition of the fleet. We have a team station in Consejo, Northern Ambergris or Bacalar Chico Foot Patrol. We maintain constant presence in that area, as that area proves to be one of the hostile areas for the Coast Guard. We maintain presence at our station in San Pedro.
Today's presentation concluded the year in review for the Ministry of National Security, as previous exercises have been completed by the Belize Police Department and the Belize Defense Force respectively. Reporting for News 5, I am Isani Cayetano.